This episode contains potentially sensitive topics, such as magic, rituals, and the use of psychedelic drugs, as well as random tangents, stupid jokes, and 3 barely coherent idiots. Viewer discretion advised.
Travelers, dimension hoppers, and parallel selves, welcome back to yet another episode of Baconspiracies. Got 2 special guests with me today. We have Thiccy Smol returning for yet another episode.
Hello.
And we have Chii'kyi.
Greetings. Or, well, hello.
How are we both doing today?
I am doing absolutely, positively, amazingly splendid. Thank you for asking.
Splendidly, positively, yes. British.
Very British.
I am also doing positively, spectacularly awesome. Got an interesting one today. I wanted to talk about Magic, not the trading card game, not Final Fantasy either. I wanted to delve into the history of real-world magic and its many forms and shapes throughout history. I understand that Chii, you're especially, from what I've heard, really knowledgeable on this. And Smol, you delve into entertainment magic from time to time?
Yeah, just purely cards.
Purely cards. Okay, well, we can get into maybe somewhere along the twisted, weird path we're going to take today. We can uncover the history and the beginnings of entertainment magic that we know today. Before I delve into a fucking rant that I've had in the chamber for this fucking episode, I wanted to give Chi the floor and just let you open the fucking floodgates. Just regale us of your knowledge of magic and your desire to harness the power of the universe.
I still try to cast magic every morning. It still always fails, of course. But that kind of makes me think of magic has always existed in the very, very old tales for as long as we can remember, right?
Oh yeah.
And it usually probably involved a lot of drugs. But that doesn't really matter because magic was always this kind of word that we used to signify something unexplainable, right?
Yeah, we as people have a history of just writing off something we can't understand as magic, and as science has developed over the years, we have that happen less and less. But I still believe that what could have initially been written off as magic still has merit to this day, because there's some things that we still can't explain.
Right, yeah. I mean, especially in these days with pop culture and shit. When we say the word magic, you think of fucking wizard casting spells, right?
Yeah.
But I'd say the Egyptians doing a copious amount of cannabis and doing their rituals and shit. I suppose they also considered that magic, or at least a ritual to their gods, right? I'm not too knowledgeable on that front.
It does go back super, super far. There is records of the Roman Empire being guided by these 3 books that the last Roman king had purchased from some lady that walked up into his palace. They're called the Sibylline books. And she originally had 9 and tried to get the king to buy all 9 of them. And he was like, it's an outrageous price. Why would I do that? This woman's crazy. And then she takes 6 books and throws them in a fucking fire. And then she's like, well, you buy these 3 books at the price of 9. And then, absolutely fucking confused, he's like, all right, I guess. All 3 of these books are chock full of rituals and prophecies. When they purchased the books is right around when Rome became an empire. And every time some major decision had to be made or some major historical event was occurring, they would consult these books.
That's awesome. I never knew about that. Though I did not really pay attention in history class, so.
Well, I mean, the books were destroyed before the fall of the Roman Empire, so
Right.
as far as we know, they may not have existed.
Still something to think about because, well, not because it is a completely different tangent, but that makes me think of those shamans and stuff really, really long ago. They were all about like those rituals around the fire and stuff, dance around those fires, and there's yet again a copious amount of drugs involved.
Kind of like the wrinkly old fucks at 300, like in the movie 300.
Sure, yeah. And the entire like purpose of those things is to get in the right mindset, right? Because that's also a sort of magic. It's like it's the same as meditation, only then, well, it is meditation because meditation exists in many forms, and getting in the right state of mind with everyone involved because everyone's doing the same thing. That's fucking amazing, right? Like when you're playing games with your buddies and you all just like fucking lock in and sync up. That's an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
You're pretty much doing the exact same thing, only then the fire and the drugs aren't involved. And you're also not dancing, but it's the exact same process of what they discovered back then to do something with everyone and to get in the same mindset as your buddies. And that's just like, that's a feeling that times like those you remember forever, right? Where you were actually with your buddies and you're like all synced up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Those moments make you feel super powerful.
Yeah, and I think that was their magic, you know, that was the goal of such things. And there are of course gods they worship, and yeah, they did those things for gods probably, but it's such a yeah, I would fucking believe a god exists if we're all in the same fucking mindset and we're all just having a buckload of fun, or we're all feeling super like really good after such a ritual, I suppose.
Rituals do give things meaning and power.
Yeah, and that's what it all comes down to. Friendship is magic, you know.
Don't you bring My Little Pony into this shit.
My little cult. Raising a point there, though, of the whole how original magic could have been perceived as magic as like drugs. I don't know if you want me mentioning specific like modern day equivalents of that, but I know there is a heavy psychedelic out there called DMT, which is something apparently everyone should try.
The death drug, because DMT is what your brain releases when you're like, that's what causes the whole life flashing before your eyes thing.
Well, it's not just life flashing before. Well, in that case it is, yeah. But when you actively take the drug, there's loads of really cool stories about it. But it's I'm obviously telling you this story now, and if you ever were to try it, you would have this in the back of your head. But there are countless stories of people who take DMT without any pre ideas, and they all see the exact same thing, and it's called the cosmic serpent, and it's a really cool thing that happens with DMT users. So let's say us three, obviously we're in 3 different parts of the world. I hadn't told you any of this before, and we all took it on one night, and then we came into this call and we spoke about it. It's like a ridiculously high chance that we'll all mention seeing a giant serpent in like the stars that will like basically communicate directly with you, and it's always a really reassuring, like you won't understand what it's saying, but you'll get what it's saying, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to how, like, you know, in every language, I might not understand the guy that stood opposite me swearing at me or shouting at me, but I know when he flips me off, I know he's angry at me. Well, in this case, it's just you get this really overwhelming, apparently calming sensation. And there's like repeated figures throughout the entire thing. There's a comedian who did a really good thing about this, and he built it into a comedy routine about how it was really scuffed how he first ever tried it. But he said that using that cured him of like his anxiety and things like that. He's never had anxiety since having it because he's just felt this overwhelming calm and purpose in his life, and he's from now on he's this massive advocate that he promotes all the time. I'm not saying you should go do it, obviously it's a very illegal drug, but yeah, and I think that leans into the whole like you say, rituals where everyone can perceive it as magic. Because you imagine, before they even had a way of telling how this drug was done or anything, and you sit around with your buddies and you're like, hey, I've just found this weird yellow chemical, I'm going to smoke it. And you're, oh, cool, whatever. And then all three of you do it. And then all three of you then go, hey, did you see a giant cosmic serpent? You're going to start believing in things. Like, there are people who, like, follow this thing. The serpent has a massive following. And like I said, it's really cool because you'll see people on Reddit and things like that going on and going, hey, I've just, tried this and I've seen this. And you're like, it's literally like, oh, get in line, pal. Everyone's seen him. It's like old news at this point. There's nothing new to be seen on DMT. But apparently as well, people have gone in and they've been told never to take it again. Like, and then they did it, and then they went in again, and they had nothing. They got literally dropped into it. They basically, apparently, I was reading one story, and a guy says he hadn't touched it in years because he kept going to it whenever his life was like going a bit shitty. And then eventually, the serpent told him, look, you'll be fine after this one, don't worry. And he was, but he still felt like he wanted to go visit the serpent again. Apparently, when he was there, he was told, I've told you not to come, don't do it again. He went again, the serpent just went, I told you, and then just went, and he was just in a black void, and he said it felt like years passed, and then he came back.
What the fuck?
Like, obviously, and the thing is, the drug is a it's that, this is how weird it is, it's that heavily absorbed into the body. The trip lasts for maybe, I think it's like meant to be like 10-15 minutes. After an hour, you can drive. It's gone out of your system, no trace, just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, apparently people have communicated with the perceived beings on the other side and been told, don't come back. And it's not in like a threatening, like a, we'll fuck you up. It's a, we're telling you, you don't need us anymore. Don't come here. And then when they do, they tend to get a punishment from it. But it's like the comedian's one, his anxiety thing was really weird. He said, it's a bit of a fucked story because it's like, he said he was like freaking out. He's had this DMT, and then halfway through the trip, he just went, what if I had a panic attack right now? And then he had a hallucinogenic panic attack where this massive blue woman apparently just walked into his room. Like literally, he was, I say walked into his room, walked into whatever area he was mentally in, picked him up, and then put him in a womb. And then since then, no anxiety. He said he's had no issues with it. And I was like, that's mental.
That is mental.
And that's the reason why in like the UK at least they're testing it for an actual treatment for mental health issues.
They're doing that with shrooms too.
I know the Netherlands have got loads of trials at the moment. They're really cool to watch.
Psilocybin is undergoing numerous trials for not just like anxiety and stuff, but also detox. Because the biggest thing that I've heard from all of my buddies that have done shrooms is it's not the trip that you mainly seek, it's the afterglow. Because one of my buddies who had like really bad eating habits and stuff and like smoked all the time and all that, he did shrooms. He had a trip, and when he was done, he dropped like fast food and soda and like all the other drugs that he was on completely. He was able to quit cold turkey because his body just completely like just reset itself and got rid of the toxins. And honestly, after hearing that, shrooms kind of on my bucket list because I could do with a couple resets.
Antidepressants are supposed to do that too. I was like pretty depressed for a while, and the doctor prescribed me antidepressants, and I didn't really care for them. I thought they weren't going to work and stuff. But after 3 months, of like taking them every day, I eventually just stopped taking them, and I continued feeling fine. And apparently, I didn't know that. It may be the most fucking obvious thing, but you're not supposed to be taking antidepressants forever. Like after a few months, your brain just like reaches a equilibrium of just like feeling normal, and then you're good. But what I wanted to talk about was, my own experience with shrooms. I took shrooms with a buddy of mine. We both experienced zero hallucinations, nothing, and we went for a walk because we were like, fuck, this is kind of boring, you know, like these shrooms aren't doing anything. And nothing happened, right? Like those shrooms were fucking piss. They didn't do anything, no hallucinations, nothing. we returned home from our walk, and apparently we were gone for 6 hours.
How long did you think you'd been gone?
I don't know, 30 minutes or something.
Big deal. I do that sober. I have a memory of a goldfish.
Walking in a straight line, multiple intersections have like car pileups because you've been walking in a straight line across America.
Literally not giving a fuck about any surroundings. You've caused multiple accidents. You've ran like bicyclists off the road because you were in the way. You walked through like restricted areas multiple times, so now you just have like a bunch of cops just slowly walking behind you like, hey, buddy, stop.
You good?
You're under arrest.
No. You come back to reality, you've somehow got like a violation for like airspace, and you're like, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah, be as high as a kite.
There's security camera footage of you turning 90 degrees straight up and just walking into the atmosphere.
Fuck. But yeah, the moment you walk out of the village, you're immediately like in farmland, just like in the middle of fucking nowhere. So we ended up just walking there for 6 hours, and when we returned home, our legs were completely fine, everything, you know, like we're ITers, we're not supposed to be outside. So, but we were completely fine.
About to be like Forrest Gump, but just being followed by an entire herd of cows.
I think you need to get that as a t-shirt though, like a saying for Chi. Just, what is it? Eat shrooms, touch grass.
Hell yeah.
Be absorbed into the fucking cosmos.
We have gotten
so incredibly off topic.
Yeah, this was originally just going to be about magic, but no, I'm going to put the title Magic and Drugs now. Fuck it. It's gonna, because they interconnect anyway, it seems.
I mean, you could literally call it magic mushrooms, because that's, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, apologies. It was purely because I was like, when you're like, oh yeah, these old like rituals and stuff, and I was like, I could totally see how like the whole DMT experience could have been perceived by like people who didn't quite know what it was as just ritual magic.
Don't apologize, because I mean that shit goes into that ties into Native American rituals and the whole process of finding your spirit animal. You go in, or like you just go into the desert and take peyote, overdose on that shit for like 3 days, and you'll be visited by your spirit guide and like whatever animal that is. I don't remember off the top of my head what all tribes do that, but like magic or like rituals and drugs are interconnected even here.
They go hand in hand.
Do you reckon we could do like a lads trip? Just go find our spirit animals together.
Fuck yeah, I'd be up for that.
Dude, live Baconspiracies episode. It lasts 72 hours because we forget to turn the record button off.
One of us has eaten the microphone by that point.
It's a recorded. It's a stream being recorded, and someone just like hops in and joins on Twitch, and you just see 3 people passed out in the desert.
I'm there trying to convince the audience that my fucking spirit animal's like a chihuahua called Frank, and it's telling me to burn things.
I saw it. It had big eyes. I saw it. It was growling at me, all misformed and shit.
I actually have a couple buddies I was talking about going to the Nevada desert and taking peyote with them. Like, finding my spirit animal is on my bucket list. It's just hard to do these kinds of things in a country where all drugs are illegal, because America fucking sucks.
Hey.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't live there.
UK too, buddy. UK too, buddy.
Ugh.
A buddy of mine said he did one of those rituals where you're supposed to find your spirit animal, and like, I think he's just bullshitting, right? I think he's just fucking talking shit, but he says that his spirit animal is human, because when he was like all fucked up and like tripping, he just saw a guy, just like some random dude.
Okay, so two theories.
Furry.
One is that instead of his spirit animal, he saw his guardian angel because he got close to fucking death. Or theory number 2, it was just some random fucker checking on him, and he's like,
yeah,
are you my spirit guide? No, I'm a fucking medic. Are you okay?
So yeah, like when he was like all fucked up, and like he said that he couldn't even talk or walk or stand up, right? He was like completely off the map. And when he was all fucked up, he just saw this random dude, like some random guy. He genuinely thinks, or he's fucking with me, but he says that he genuinely thinks that his spirit animal is human, because, you know, humans are also animals.
That's like getting the default option.
Yeah,
I feel kind of bad for the dude. Wait, Chop, this ties in with what I was saying last time with my granddad when I was on about how he has a spirit guide who was like a Native American kid. Does that mean my granddad at some point I have to go have words with him about when he tripped balls on peyote somewhere?
Yeah, it might be a good idea.
He's never mentioned a spirit animal, but who knows? Maybe he's missing out parts of the story while my parents are around. Doesn't want me taking recreational drugs.
Who knows? Maybe the ghost of that same blacksmith was with Chii's friend.
Wait, which blacksmith was this? Sorry.
Sorry, previous episode joke. We don't need to do that.
I got the reference. Holy fuck! I got the reference.
But I've been saving a rant specifically for this episode, and it has to do with a very particular kind of magic called rune magic. Now,
okay. This comes
from Old Norse. Like, it's believed that the Futhark runes, both younger and elder, are more than just an alphabet. Each one has, like a specific tie to a certain god, and each one has power.
I don't know if this is where you were going, but these individual runes, or a series of them in a particular order, are supposed to have like some sort of power to them, right? And we just forgot how they worked.
Absolutely. They're written in a certain way. Like, they're called bind runes because how the Futhark runes work. It's like branch twig method of writing, I think it's what it's called. It's like the runes are written on like a central line, and you make branches from said line to complete the rune or the letter. And if you want to write several of them vertically, you can, in theory, just draw one long line, however long you need, and then draw out the branches of whatever runes you need to write on. Now, there are very few and far between examples of these being used for perhaps magical purposes, such as talismans. Like, it's believed that you invoke the god Tyr by writing the Tiwaz rune 3 times, and you can bind those together in a bind rune. But what I get super fucking pissed about is you Google or YouTube like rune magic or whatever, and you get a bunch of fucking women with colored hair trying to tell you like how to invoke love or whatever by writing these runes like on top of each other, not like on one singular branch, but like on the same small line, so like it's almost unreadable. That doesn't work. Doing magic without prior knowledge is one of the dumbest things you can do. Knowing is half of magic, and intention is the other half. So if these people try to like invoke Odin or whatever, they'll spell out in what they believe to be, the correct Futhark runes, Odin. Congratulations, you have spelled the English translation of Odin's name in Elder Futhark runes. There's 2 completely opposite ends of written language and history that you've just thrown together like an idiot. First of all, Odin wasn't spelled with a D in Futhark runes. I don't even believe that there is a D character, but if there is, it's never been used in writing Odin's name. In younger Futhark, it was the character Thorn, which is what you would say to make what you would use to make a TH noise. It's how they wrote Thor's name. Whereas it would make a little bit of a softer sound in Thor's name, it made a harder sound in Odin's name. So it would be more like Odin. So that's my first gripe. My second gripe is they don't use younger Futhark runes, they use elder Futhark runes to write this shit, and it's not even, like, he wasn't even called Odin back then. He was called Wodan. And I might be butchering the pronunciation. I'm not Norse, I'm sorry. This is just, I'm the white girl getting offended for these people right now.
Right. You also have, like, somatic magic, right? With like that has to do with the body and like certain hand gestures or stuff that you also see in some of the older rituals. And then you have verbal magic, But that's all. Like, when I was a kid, I don't really try it anymore. I just like try to cast magic every morning by like thinking about it really hard. It never works, of course. When I was a kid, I would just say random shit from time to time in the hopes that it would be a forgotten spell. Like, yeah, like some fucking idiot. I would say the most incomprehensible shit from time to time, just like hoping that streak of characters would activate some spell or something, and that is just forgotten by humanity, right?
Turns out you're just praying to some random god about like taxes.
Yeah, probably. Or like the fucking bird that heard me from my window was just like, "Huh? Fuck is this idiot saying?" But I still hold hope that there is magic, because that's just what I want to believe in. Of course, I highly doubt I'll ever see it. But this is what interests me so much in magic systems that writers, make for their books and stuff. Because there are some very interesting ones in there.
There's some merit in or trying to invoke a spell by just saying random words. Like, it's believed that certain phrases in the original language they were meant to be written in have power. Like, some people believe that if you pray in Hebrew rather than like in English, it's more pleasing to God.
I get what you mean. I catch your drift. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm smelling what you're shitting, is what I'm saying.
You smell what the rock is cooking?
Yeah.
Shit, you the rock now?
No, I'm the pebble.
Pebbles.
Fruity pebbles.
Damn.
Now I'm hungry.
I just ate kapsalon.
What?
I think the direct English translation is barbershop. It is basically it's incredibly unhealthy. You get fries. On top of that, you put doner or shawarma.
Oh.
And on top of that, you put salad. And on top of that, you put fucking a bunch of cheese. And you let the cheese melt for a while. And you get this brick of just pure unhealthiness. And that's called kapsalon. And it was invented in the city of Rotterdam by some random dude that ran a barbershop. It's like fucking godly. It's
That's
incredibly
magic,
fat,
right?
though. That is modern day magic.
Dude, straight up casting spells in the kitchen. Making... What?
I mean,
If we're saying that that's magic, we're going on to like a magic tier list now. Does that mean that the police officer deploying a taser is currently using electric magic against whoever he's deploying it against?
Not this shit.
life is a game, right? And I think I took the wrong class. But
I think you took the wrong class. What do you mean?
I don't know. I think I could have been. I don't know. Maybe I could have been a police officer or something. They don't have that much of a stigma to them here in the Netherlands than in the US.
No, what you do is you pick the crackhead class.
Bro. Do you know how difficult that one is? Its storyline is completely fucked.
No, we were discussing this the other week. It's got some cool like bonuses that you get with it. Like, if you choose to be the British crackhead, again, just to repeat for Chii here, you get the London bin knife perk, where once a day you can reach into any bin and pull out a knife of varying quality.
Yeah, it's whether you're American or British, you have a single use power called overdose, where you're completely immune to like all forms of damage and injury. But
you're gonna have to go back to character creation after
yeah,
that.
the downside to that one is when that perk runs out, you die. If there's a police officer within proximity, you can potentially get a revive with his Narcan perk, but you get a permanent debuff after that.
Right. I don't know what it's called, but it's a buff, and every technician or someone that repairs shit, working in IT or physical, they have that buff. They have this like radius around them where they just walk in and shit gets fixed miraculously. You have no fucking clue how many times I've walked into a room because someone called me there with a problem, and I walk in and the problem is fixed, and I just walk out again without having to do anything. there's got to be something there.
Chii, have you considered that them spells that you've been casting that do quote-unquote nothing, you're actually just storing them in you? And then when you walk in, it auto-fixes things for you. Have you ever considered that?
They're like, those spells have triggers to them.
Yeah, shit broke.
Need fix.
Yeah.
Damn, you may be onto something. I'm completely losing my shit over here.
Sorry about ruining magic.
By the way, in case people question why this episode is so helter-skelter, I have been awake for all of... I was awake for only like 20 minutes before this episode started, so I'm running on half-mast, so I'm gonna get easily distracted by whatever dumb shit y'all throw at me. So take advantage of that if you really want.
I don't think I can, because I'm kind of like completely high off my ass right now.
Jesus Christ.
I just like before we started recording, I like smoked like I think 2 of them or something when I was winding down from the happiness I felt from getting my motorcycle for acing my motorcycle exam. So I'm completely off the chart right now.
He's taking his own rituals right now.
If I'd never told you guys, you would have never known, right?
I just assumed
like, such
with
an
you.
Expert. Yeah, no, most people just assume, yeah. Most people just assume, but I'm quite functional still.
I'm only running on like 4 hours of sleep.
Bruh.
I'm fucking tired. Chii's stoned out of their gourd, and you're like fucking hyped up on painkillers.
Yeah, I've had paracetamol with caffeine in them, and but I'm also running at a reduced IQ because I've been playing War Thunder for the last 3 days straight. So
Right.
like,
Oh great, now this whole podcast is on a watch list because people know that you're part of a community that leaks documents every fucking
did you
2
know
weeks.
that the Challenger 2's main gun is?
Shut up.
Sorry, the government censored me when I tried to leak documents about the upcoming Challenger 3 version.
Right.
Yeah, so you just
Right.
about it.
But yeah, no, anyways, rune magic.
Rude magic.
So, like, you get these people that think that just, bind runes are some kind of like seal or spell. And you gotta think, back when Elder Futhark was widely used, they would chisel their inscriptions into rock. So you only have so much space that you can work with. Like each letter or each rune could take like an hour to inscribe.
I mean, modern day runes exist. Have you seen airport signs?
What?
Some motherfucker puts an airport sign down with just an arrow on it, and all these cocksuckers, they just follow it they just get entranced by it and just follow those exact rules. Fucking amazing.
So there's a YouTube channel named Norse Magic and Beliefs, and the host of that channel put it like this. Picture this. Imagine yourself as a Viking in a village thousands of years ago. You're the only motherfucker that can write. You have a more well-off individual come up to you and hire you to write some inscription on like a stone or whatever to like commemorate his father or something. And so you're like, yeah, I'll do it. You're knocking out these letters, each one takes an hour, and you're like, oh fuck, I got 3 more sentences to write out. I'm just gonna make a couple more marks on this. Boom, there, that counts as 2 letters. It's not like anybody else besides me is gonna be fucking reading this thing anyway.
That sounds like such a me thing to do. I think that's an everyone thing to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt like I was there. You were just describing my ancestors. I resonated with that sentence.
Yeah. It really did. I get it, I understand.
Yeah. There's also a Nordic rune poem. People believe it does describe what each rune means, but there's really no inherent power behind it. It's like literally in modern day terms, it's like singing the alphabet song.
I'm dyslexic.
Okay.
Is that alphabet one that I can't remember the name of the group? I know we've spoke about them before.
Hai Lung.
Yeah, isn't that the song they've got where it's just them chanting like the quote unquote alphabet?
Yeah, it's the song is called Norupo. It is short for Norse rune poem.
Yes, and that's the only thing I knew about that. And someone was, oh yeah, you do realize that they're just saying the alphabet, and I'm like, oh well, I don't care. I guess I like the alphabet now.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're saying reciting each rune, like each character and what they mean, but that's it. There's nothing else special behind that. Rune, my overall point is rune magic is a very lost art, and unless you speak the language, and unless you know what these runes mean, then you're not going to be casting these fucking spells. Like, you're not going to get somebody to love you. You're not going to make yourself lose weight by inscribing like 3 or 4 runes on a piece of paper and invoking some random god that has nothing to do with any of them.
I think that that kind of magic don't think it existed or ever exists. What I think is, I think magic is supposed to invoke a certain, right? Like, when you look at those runes, they invoke the same they're supposed to invoke the same feeling and understanding as everyone else that looks at those runes. I think that magic is supposed to be a language that it transcends borders, right?
I would agree with that.
I think that the purpose of, let's just call it IRL magic, that humans have been doing over the last few patches of this game we call life, I think it's a form of meditation. Again, it's supposed to invoke the same feeling between you and your buddies, and you're sharing that same moment with each other. And if you go rune carving with your buddies and you all like understand what these runes mean, then yeah, they are gonna give you luck or something like that. Because when you have that rune hanging around your neck and you and your buddies carved that rune, you know what it means, and it just brings this sort of comfort. Of course, I'm currently assuming right now that they meant it like that, but I don't think it's that far off.
I mean, meditation is really just a form of breathing at the end of the day.
We are currently meditating as of this right moment. We're talking with each other, trying to at least loosely get on the same level when it comes to the subjects that we talk about and stuff. Fuck, playing video games is a form of meditation. It is really, like, it's the same with magic. Like, when we say magic, oh, you see a guy casting spells. But it's not only that. And when you say meditation, you see some sort of Buddhist sitting somewhere doing a breathing technique or going but it isn't. It is. Meditation is just a form of, being with yourself or with others and like sharing the same experience on a deeper level, just surface.
Do you guys know the CIA has a breathing exercise, like a meditation exercise called resonant breathing?
No.
What?
Yeah, there's an official declassified CIA document that teaches you how to breathe and, intake energy around you. Like, step 1 is when you breathe in, you absorb energy from like all around you. And in step 2, you hold your breath for a brief moment, swirl the energy around in your head. And then step 3, you exhale stale, used up energy out your feet. This is a real document.
Resonant breathing, also known as coherence breathing or heart rate variability breathing.
That's like some, just to make light of it. It's like, it sounds like some sort of anime move. Like it's like modern day Demon Slayer. psyop breathing, third form, CIA. And then he just teleports behind the fucking hostage taker and just breaks his neck, and you're like, whoa, that's how they do it.
You've been fucked by psyops because normal wounds heal.
I tell you what though, on a on a more serious topic, the what you were saying before about like you and the boys carving runes, and then you say that necklace meaning a lot to you. I just didn't want to interrupt you, so I'm saying it now. I believe that's quite cool because even if it's, let's say that rune, let's say in the future, we have a way of proving that magic as we know it is, or as we believe it, is fully real and all that kind of stuff, but rune magic, for some reason, that's not. I still believe it's like the whole, you've got a mental effect in your head where if you it goes back to the oldest example I can use, which is give a kid apple juice, tell them it's whiskey, they'll become drunk. And I think that's the same thing. If you and your boys are carving, let's say you're about to go and, I don't know, do what Vikings did best and go,
pillaging and raping.
Me and the boys raiding the shores of some random shithole.
That is a more apt way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it the nicer way than what Vikings did. And it's like you're gonna want something, some comfort with you, some reminder of home. So you and your friends carve some runes, and then while you're wearing that, you could potentially, like, there's like stories about like right now in like parts of Africa where tribes are like, they have their leaders. Like the Vice did a really good documentary on it, where one of them before every battle used to, it was kind of fucked. I think it was something to do with like, it was like a cannibal tribe, and they used to they believed that if they ate human flesh, they would be like bulletproof. And they fought with no clothes on. The leader of the warlord was warlord butt naked, which I think was actually fucking hilarious.
That's where berserkers come from.
Yeah, it's
just
that,
that's where like the whole unarmored defense and shit that they use in D&D is like inspired from. Is this warborn trance that they would enter that just made them ignore wounds.
As much as we meme about it, like when we were saying about the crackhead build in the real life D&D game, the overdose perk, it comes from I guess real thing where like people would take drugs and enter a state where they would just not feel the pain of battle, and then the Vikings are especially like, you know, they had their berserkers in there as well, and people speculate that they just took like some mental concoction of drugs and just, you know, went off on one.
They tried to attribute it to rage, but it's more like a trance. It's more like a high, honestly. It's strange.
It'd be interesting to see if anyone ever found out what they gave the berserkers before they went in, to see what would put them in that mindset, and just not to replicate
so
it
much
or
shit
anything,
gets forgotten.
just to. That's what I mean. It's the problem with
Roman fire and everything.
Yeah, like Roman fire. That's
Greek fire. You mean?
Greek fire?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Greek fire. My apologies for my heresy, but yeah, shit like that. It's just like forgotten. People just like we have gone so far technologically and like civilly, I suppose, through civilization. But how much have we lost over the time? Do you think we've lost more than we have obtained? There's no way
I
to
absolutely
know.
do. Like, because if you look back through, like, Damascus steel, for example, is something we still can't fathom how it was done back in the day.
But we can make Damascus steel.
We can make a type of it, but it's to replicate it at that level. Like what was that Viking sword that was found years ago? Like the Ulfbert sword or something. And it was just this sword that was. It shouldn't have been possible for its time, for how it was made.
Oh, the Ulfbert swords.
Yeah, and they're like the coolest thing ever. They don't know who this Ulfbert, whatever you want to pronounce him, this dude. Don't know who he is. It's just there, and they're just really well preserved swords. But they're the coolest things ever. And you're just like, I don't know, things just aren't made. It's like you say, we can advance as much as possible, but.
So what makes them not possible?
It's so I've not looked into Damascus too much. It's just the actual way that the original Damascus was made. It's like I'd have to look in. If I would have known, we would have mentioned this. Fucking hell, I mean, if I would have known, I would have mentioned it. Should I say? I would have probably gotten a bit more up about it. I've just heard a lot of people when they speak about it, they mention it's like the way we do it now is very different to how the original, like, quote unquote Damascus steel was done.
Oh, so you're saying that the methods that they used to forge these swords shouldn't have existed in this time period?
Well, it's more like we don't. Yes and no, because obviously it shouldn't, but it did. But it's more of a. I can't remember what the fact is, because it's, and the annoying part is, it's like I have a museum near me where they have an example of how Damascus steel's made, but it's like the original way of making it has been lost.
Well, yeah, there's of course like 1,000. Well, there are countless ways of forging, right? You know, some motherfucker somewhere discover a method of forging and shit that, you know, just gets forgotten in time.
I think blacksmithing is a really cool one for weird energy being put into the things that they make. Like, there's a whole series of katanas that are apparently like cursed to those who hold that the exact whereabouts of them are never known. Like, they've just popped up throughout history, but they're never. I don't think the current location of any of them is known. It's weird. I love blacksmithing when it comes to that, because I think there's loads of stuff in history about like blacksmiths that people are like, you know, that the stuff they make is weirdly better than the competition, and there's a lot of folklore surrounding blacksmithing.
Yeah, we touched on blacksmithing last episode with, didn't you say it was like a bayonet that your girlfriend at the time had found in a hedge, and you brought it to your grandpa, and he was able to tell like what year it was made and what town it was from just by like studying the blade itself.
And I could personally examine the knife and see that. Well, I said the knife, the fucking massive bayonet. I will try and find a photo for you of that, because I know I've got one, and I know we found the village and we found the year. But again, with going back to that was what was weird about that, because there was no way my granddad would have known that, because he doesn't study like history or anything. He didn't study the blade. No, he didn't study history or anything. And he wouldn't have been able to tell it was from France, because literally the writing was barely readable. It took us literally having to put a piece of paper on it and scratch it over it, you know, to get the like imprint on the paper. Pencil, to try and fucking figure out where it was, and it turned out, it was France. But yeah, I think blacksmithing is a really cool thing with history, because a lot of blacksmiths stamp their stuff. And
don't the Norwegians or Danish have like these family swords? I think in the Netherlands they're called a risk, but they're like these swords in the family, and they have this layer of poison on them, and like once in a while they would check if their sword was still okay, and they would like cut a chicken on their leg and just let it walk around for a while, and if it would eventually just like croak it and die, that means your sword was still okay. It's completely off topic, but it's just, I don't know, like how the fuck does such a thing get even born? Like, there's such a concept. Where does it come from, you know?
The methods that Vikings used to forge their swords inadvertently made them stronger, because Vikings in the Iron Age only had access to poor quality iron. So to strengthen their swords, they would like throw bones into the forge to try to like infuse the sword that they were forging with the spirit of like another person or an animal, perhaps. But what they ended up doing was making a rudimentary form of steel because of the carbon content in the bones getting melted down in the forge. So task failed successfully. They didn't invoke any spirits or anything with the forging of their blades, but they did make them stronger, just not in the way they thought.
That's funny how stuff can just like snowball like that.
Definitely.
I found out about the Damascus, by the way. It wasn't that it wasn't meant to be theoretically possible, it's the fact that we physically do not know how they made it, because the fluxes and everything that we think would need to be used weren't invented back then, and the steel that they used no longer exists. So we have no idea how they managed to forge two steels together that held as well as Damascus did. So the modern day Damascus steel isn't Damascus steel. It's simply a copy of it. We can't replicate what they did because we don't know how they did it. Because, again, the fluxes needed to weld the two things together just didn't exist. And that's what I love about it so much. Like Damascus steel as well, it's as good as it is because it retains edges and things. And I don't know if they were chanting something on the anvils them days that just make them, you know. I don't know whether or not they just went up and they were like, hey, listen, Viking dudes, listen, we're from, you know, wherever it is they were from. But we need Thor's hammer for a bit. Can we just borrow that just to make some magic knives and then really confuse people in the future? I'd love that in history if that was literally all people did. They were like, hey, listen, let's just start like writing Ulfber on swords, or let's just start leaving rune stones everywhere just to fuck with people.
Maybe people were invoking dwarves thousands of years ago, and that's why we can't make Damascus steel anymore, because we've lost communication.
Yeah, I mean that would be quite cool. It's one of the things where I think, like Chii said, we'll never know. I'd like to believe that was true though, because it is weird how even with modern day technology we can't explain a lot of the stuff that happened in the past. Like it's, I don't know. I think magic as well, like something like going back to the original topic of magic itself, like it's just weird how even though different cultures that are like thousands of miles away apart from each other, they all have their roots with what they believed magic was, and even if they were vastly different, there will be some similarities between them. And I think that's like just insane how like humans as a species are able to come up with something like that. Like there's got to be something that did exist back then that meant that these different cultures could come up with something and refer to it as magic or whatever their terminology was. But when you break it down, it's all roughly the same.
We've really gone to a lot of different topics on this episode, haven't we?
Yeah.
At the same time,
I mean, somehow in the topic of magic, we've gone into like mythical blacksmithing.
Well, I mean, like I said, it could be seen as a form of magic. If I didn't know what fire was, or like what was generating the heat in the forge, I would consider it magic to take just a block of metal and shape it into something that you can stab someone with.
Watch me hit this lump of weird hard material with my quote-unquote magic wand, in brackets, it's a hammer. Sordus Epirus. Whoa. Congratulations, sure. So your new shank has arrived.
It's like stupid because the actual way of saying it is games mimic real life, but I like to say that
life imitates art.
No, it's like, I mean, it sounds fucking dumb, right? It sounds completely fucking pathetic, but life is a fucking video game. While you're actually, you're actually supposed to say video games imitate life, right? But just the fucking thinking about it from a, like, you know, like we all play games here and stuff, and just how you're supposed to play them. And eventually, like, every game is pretty much the same, right? Like, you know what you're getting into, you know instinctively how shit works, and it's just like something, I don't know, it's fascinating to me how I can just, I don't know, I can weld shit. I can weld. I know how to weld. But just like that concept alone, that's fucking cool, because I can do something that others can't, which means that bam, you got yourself a fucking like opportunity, you know? I'm talking like about the most basic shit, right? Everyone knows this. Like the stuff I'm talking about is completely fucking obvious, but at the same time, like from a, I don't know, from a cosmic perspective, that's fucking awesome.
It really is.
We're all magic.
It's wizard time, motherfucker! Fireball!
I'm convinced that I'm only here because it's like, you're like, fuck, we're talking about magic. Let's get a British guy with glasses on. Fuck it, Harry Potter. We'll just say guest starring.
Hell yeah.
Exactly, dude. You found me out. You found me out. Guilty as charged. I'm like, man, this guy drinks tea and eats crumpets and does shit in tents. I bet he has some.
Crumpets themselves are a magical item.
Bro. They really are.
Fucking elaborate, please.
It's you wouldn't know if you've never eaten a crumpet before. You just experience an entire different thing.
No, I've never eaten a crumpet because I'm American.
I'm gonna form an entire like cult around it where we do like crumpet readings where you make your own crumpet, put it on the palm of your hand, and we'll get one of our like mystics who is totally not high on meth to come and just like put their hand over it, and the amount of holes that your crumpet's made will determine your future.
The way they interact when you like dip them into tea is completely fucked.
I'm sorry, what? You do not dip crumpets into tea? What? Oh,
I dip
right,
anything in my tea.
Tea dipped in tea.
You're not helping your case. You got so fucking... There was so much venom behind that. You don't dip your fucking crumpets into tea.
You don't. It'd be like me saying I'm gonna put a I don't know, AK round in a AR-15. It just doesn't work. I know you physically can't do that, but with enough pressure and a hammer, you probably can.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can do it once, but then when you try to shoot it, the gun becomes a grenade. It's like alchemy.
Exactly, there we go, back on track. Alchemy.
You motherfuckers are not making it easy, because when you are getting dinner, you also see, yeah, I'm getting tea, I'll be right back.
Yeah, well, like, at least my country is above sea level.
Fuck you too, I suppose.
I love the Netherlands. It's like... You know what, I'm gonna jump in the water and then raise the sea level enough that it just starts, like, trickling over the edge.
Fuck, we're gonna have another situation where we have this dumb kid that has like his finger stuck in one of the dams, and if he takes it out, there's like this trickle of water. So he's just like stuck there.
Flex Seal saves the Netherlands.
Fuck.
We just create a new religion and get, a bunch of people, in the Netherlands to start worshiping Phil Swift as like a god king. I feel like he'd be down for it.
I mean, yeah. What you call it though?
We'll get back to that.
The Netherlands is basically just like some motherfuckers that went in creative mode and started terraforming.
It's just a Rust server.
What?
It's an unmoderated Rust server.
You know what they say? God created the world, but the Dutch made the Netherlands. It's because like 90% of it is supposed to be ocean. It isn't supposed to exist. It's under sea level. What they've done is like they've cornered off a bunch of the ocean and like drained what they cornered off to like create new land. And they've just been doing that for hundreds of years. It's cursed. We're not supposed to be here. We have been battling the ocean for a long time now, and we've been constantly winning.
You ever think that one of these days, like, Poseidon is just gonna get fed up and just bitch slap your entire country with like 10 million gallons of water?
They'll just drink it. We'll just get Badlands Chugs on to drink the ocean for the...
Not Badlands Chugs, man.
I think this is the only podcast where you can start off talking about magic in a serious context and end up with Badlands Chugs making a fucking cameo like mention.
The only podcast where you start with magic and you end with Badlands Chugs. Let's go.
The only podcast where it's not a case of it goes off the rails, it's a surprise if it goes back on them.
Fucking hell.
My god. All right, well, we're approaching the end of our time block here at Baconspiracies. Y'all have any closing remarks that you want to add to the absolute train wreck of an episode we've had today?
I'd say I'd apologize, but you knew what you were getting into when you got me, you, and Chi into the same call.
Oh, I knew exactly what I was getting into, but I wanted to do it anyway. That's the beauty of starting a podcast from nothing, is that nobody knows what to expect.
There are a bunch of Dutch swear words that I've been like absolutely refusing. Like I've been trying not to say them. And it's like
oh my god, I am honestly genuinely surprised that we've made it over an hour without hearing either one of y'all.
It's been hard. It's been really hard. I just hope you know that.
Really
like
hard.
If you think about it, swear words are a form of magic. You're saying a list of words in an order to get the maximum amount of insults out of something. The end result is unhappiness, and you're using a chain of words said in a specific manner, which on their own might not necessarily do something, but together form an insulting sentence. And that, my friend, is the real magic. Like, the real magic at the end of the day is the friends we made along the way, but,
I'm gonna kill you with a rock.
The real magic is
I'll cast
getting
Snow.
in the same grind set with your buddies.
True.
That's the real magic. That's what it all stems down to. It is having fun with your buddies. And I think that's beautiful.
This is where I normally end it and say thank you, listeners, for joining us in putting our proverbial snouts to the ground and sifting for forbidden mushrooms. But the forbidden mushrooms we hit today were fucking psilocybin. So I hope y'all are locked in and have a trip sitter. But yeah, thank you for joining us for another episode of Baconspiracies. And as always, the bugs are back. Wait, no, that's the wrong one. Be the cryptid you wish to see in the woods. Have a good night, everybody.
Goodbye.